understand that it is the beginning of February and that I should have had this video out like a month ago. I definitely should have had this up at the beginning of the year instead of the beginning of February. But you know what? We're here. We're doing it. And it's better late than never, right? Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel today. I'm Carly and we are going to be going over my most anticipated games for 2024. Like I said, I should have had this video up literally like a month ago, but it's been crazy. We've had so many people out to visit and I've been like throwing together other videos and stuff, but you know what? We're here. We're doing it. It's okay. Even though it is late, I still figured it would be worth putting together a list of games that I am super excited about in 2024. I think 2023 definitely had some good games come out. There were definitely some bangers, but I think that this next year, I'm so excited for the games that are coming out this year. I tried to narrow down my list to 10 games, but I had to throw in a couple extras there. So I think we're at 13. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 13 games that I am so stinking. Well, technically it could be 14. Should we do 14? But then if we do 14, we're going to have to do 15 because 14 is a weird number. 13, like it sounds good. Like 13 games I'm excited for. 15 games I'm excited for. Sounds good too, but like 14 games? For whatever reason, that sounds weird to me. It's okay. We're sticking with the 13. 13 games that I am so looking forward to this upcoming year. Before we jump into this list though, if you have any games that you are super excited about or looking forward to, please mention them all in the comments below because I'm sure, I was going through all of the 2024 games and I'm sure I missed a handful that I'm really excited for. So if you have any that you're looking forward to, that you're, might be arriving from Kickstarter or just simply heard the news about some that might be dropping this year, please let me know so I can go through all of them and update my list because I'm sure I will be adding a lot more to this list as the year goes on. All right, so diving into this list, the first game that I wanted to talk about is called Floe. Now, Floe, obviously it's illustrated by Andrew Bosley. It looks amazing. It's by Pika Games. I don't think I've actually played any games from them. I'll have to look into them a little bit more, but it looks amazing. This was actually supposed to come out, I believe it was last year, but it ended up getting delayed. But it says it's an adventure strategy game where players embark on heroic quests across icy landscapes. Says you'll discover long-lost secrets, sail the seas to find adventure and sunken treasure, and battle fearsome monsters. It just looks like, just looking at the board looks so amazing. I think, Andrew, this might be one of my favorite pieces of art from Andrew. It looks absolutely amazing. And I don't know, just the look of it is what's really drawing me in. It says I think it's supposed to be like a family weight game. Yeah, complexity, it's a little bit less than a 3. But yeah, I was really hopeful and looking forward to this last year. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm totally going to back that. But then it ended up getting delayed. So I'll let you know when it drops because I am super interested in checking out this game. I think it's going to be really good. Floe is not the only game illustrated by Andrew Bosley, though, that's going to be on this list. The next one that I want to be talking about is Unconscious Mind. I think it was last year or the year before that I heard Amy and Maggie from Thinker Themer just going on and on about this game. And when they were talking about it, automatically I was like, okay, I need to know more about this game. I need to play this game. Basically what it is it kind of follows, like thematically wise, it follows Sigmund Freud in his study of like the unconscious mind. Right here it's called psychoanalysis. So it's a Euro style worker placement engine building game. It says on your turn, place 1 or 2 ideas or workers on a central meeting table to access a variety of actions, such as adding tiles to your player board, drafting, playing cards, moving around the city of Vienna. I love how they grabbed 2 different artists, so Andrew Bosley and Vincent Dutrait, to do the artwork on this. It was such, I personally would never, like if I was creating this game, I would not have thought to like do two completely different artists for this game, but I think it totally works and it makes sense. You know, you're analyzing dreams, and so the dreams are obviously going to look a lot different from like the reality in the real world. So I really am fascinated to see how this all came together. Now, if you watched my games I hope to play this year, you'll know that Root was on that. I'm still dying to try Root. Hopefully within the next couple months. I think I'm trying to get together some sort of play group to play that. But the people who created Root actually are going to be coming out with a second game completely separate from Root, but it's called Arcs. And I think the reason why I'm really interested to see what people have to say about this. I'm curious if it will become more popular than Root. That kind of sounds crazy to me, even like to say, but there are kind of some interesting stuff going on in this game. Truthfully, I don't know too much about the mechanics of this game. I did kind of hear that there was trick-taking, or there would be some sort of trick-taking in this game. I know that there are multi-use cards, and obviously with it being kind of like a similar game to Root, it's definitely going to be like an area like kind of battling game, I assume. And obviously, I think there will be even like dice in it and stuff, but I'm really curious. I think the main reason why I'm super interested in this is because I really want to play Root and then figure out a way to play this, or at least see the play, because I want to see the similarities and then the differences. I want to see if it really is a similar game to Root or if it's completely different. Now, truthfully, this next one I know nothing about. Absolutely nothing about, but I heard Jenna I actually found out this game through Jenna, the Board Game Garden, over on her channel. If you're not following her, please go do so. She is amazing. But it's called Diatoshi. I think that's how you say it. All I know is that Devere has been putting out some awesome games lately. I feel like Devere is like on the rise. I feel like every month I'm hearing about another Devere game that's coming out that sounds so good and so interesting. So just the fact that it has that label on it, I'm automatically interested. So it says, we have finally perfected the power of steam. We can now use it to our advantage. So it's something about like inventing, or it says, and steam-powered inventions are developed faster than ever. Cities are growing, trade is flourishing, and we are developing our most ambitious machine ever, a giant contraption that will bring even more progress to the city. So it sounds, I don't know, something about that just sounds interesting. I love steampunk themed stuff, and it kind of seems like that's where it's going a little bit. The main reason why I'm interested in this is mainly because of that Devere label. Even on BGG, I don't see like any like mechanisms listed or anything, so all I know is that, or it's planned to be released sometime this year. So that's one I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on and seeing as more information comes out about it, if it's a game that I'd be interested in personally. Now, I just mentioned Jenna from the Board Game Garden, and it's so funny because this next game actually appeared on her list too. And as I was putting together my list, before I even saw her list, an ad for this game popped up, and I was like, oh, just a little ad. But then I kind of looked into it and I was like, oh, this actually sounds really interesting. I love the theme. I really am interested in it. And then I was watching Jenna's video, and so when she mentioned it, I was like, oh my goodness, I wonder if an ad popped up for her, or like how she found out about this game. Because I don't think I would have found out about this game, because it's a self-published game, and the theme of it is, it's basically it says you are invited to card rooms, tea rooms, and the ballrooms of Victorian London. So the game, I'm totally going to butcher this. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Apistocracy? Is that how you say that? Oh my goodness, that is so embarrassing. I'm absolutely terrible at pronouncing words. I'll throw a picture of it up so you can read it and tell me how to pronounce it. But it looks kind of similar. Well, it definitely has a similar like theming to Obsession. I am obsessed with the theme in Obsession. But yeah, so it sounds like it's like kind of like Victorian London, and you're trying to like rise through the ranks of like the social throughout like the social season or something. And it looks like at the end of the season, like if you win, like how to win is be named the season's favorite, which I am I love this theme so much. I'm sure it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I love the artwork in this game, and I love the theming. Again, it's another one that doesn't have a lot released, but it is interesting because there is hand management, deck building, and then I think there's also trick taking in this game, which I know that there are some, kind of bigger games that do have a trick taking element to it. I personally have never played them. Whenever I play trick taking games, they're normally just like small little card games. So to kind of have a bigger game that has trick taking in it, I don't know, it sounds really interesting to me, and definitely one that I am going to be keeping on my radar, and hopefully as more information kind of comes out about it, I'm hoping that it's one that I would like and be interested in. Now, I love me a good all-play game. All-play has some great games out there, but River Valley Glassworks is one that's going to be coming, I think, just straight to retail sometime this year. It might be crown-flooded, I don't quite know. But it looks really good, and I actually heard a lot of people, like I know Alex from Board Game Co., again, another channel, please follow if you are not already. But yeah, so River Valley Glassworks, he talked a little bit about it, and he compared it to Azul, which I found, the moment that he kind of started talking about why it kind of was triggering off some of the same stuff that Azul did for him, it was really interesting to me because I do enjoy Azul. I'm curious to see how much this is similar to Azul. I'm sure I mean, looking at the board, it looks completely different, but I'm curious why people are comparing it to Azul. Again, I'm a huge themer, and theme really draws me into games, and I love sea glass hunting. It's like one of my favorite things to do. Whenever I go to the beach, people are out in the waves playing, I'm like looking down at the glass, or looking down at the sand looking for sea glass. I love sea glass. And so just to kind of have this theme where you're collecting pieces of glass and placing them into your shop, it just sounds so much fun. That's the baby. 1 second. Oh, okay. Hey, you want to be in the video? All right, we're gonna have little boy join us for a little bit now. So this next one is another one that I actually haven't played, like the game before it, basically. So it feels a little bit weird putting it on this list, but I really am actually looking forward to it. I almost backed it when it was on crowdfunding. I was so close, and then I decided not to, and now I'm regretting it. I feel like there's so many times where I'm like, okay, so close to backing a game, choose not to, and then I regret it later down on the line. That YouTube video I did of like Kickstarters I regret not backing, that might just be a yearly thing for me where I just keep making, I go through my regrets of the year that I didn't back. But this next game is Andromedas Edge. So obviously this is kind of like the next game in regards to Dwellings of Eldervale was like the first one. This is the second one, I believe. But yeah, I do think this is a different game from Dwellings of Eldervale. That was weird. Dwellings of Eldervale. Eldervale. Right? Okay, now I have to look this up. Yeah, Dwellings of Eldervale. I don't know why I'm sure I said that wrong the first time. But anyways, it definitely looks a lot different. I've always been interested, and I've always really wanted to play Dwellings. But I don't know, every time I look at the board, for whatever reason, and maybe it's just because I don't know too much about the gameplay, but whenever I look at the board, I'm always like, oh, it doesn't really draw me in. But something about this one did, and that's why I was so close to backing it. So it's definitely like an area majority game, and it's so interesting because something that I love about Dwellings of Eldervale, and the reason why I really want to play Dwellings, even though the board doesn't really pull me in, is how unique the factions are. You get a faction that's completely unique and different from everybody else. And the same happens here. The same happens in Andromeda's Edge. The factions were so unique. I don't know, I want it. And it's one that I regret not backing. I should have added this to the original games I regret not backing video. But like I said, I'm sure it'll just be a monthly video at this point. So I'll add this one to the next one. So I mentioned earlier how I'm obsessed with all things like Victorian themed. This next one is another Victorian themed game that is just, it looks so stinking cool. It almost looks like kind of like a Victorian mysterium almost, but it's called The Presence. And so I'll go ahead and I'll read a little bit what it says. It says, The Presence is a strategic horror game that puts you in Victorian era ghost story. Each game is either fully cooperative or one versus all, only you have no way of knowing which one. It says the game is for 2 to 5 players, where one player plays as a spirit with unknown intentions. The others play as visitors who need to work together to determine whether the spirit is on their side, while also trying to figure out what it wants. I need this game yesterday. Like, it looks absolutely amazing, and I love like the haunted theme put on top of like this Victorian era. It just looks so stinking cool, and I love that hook. I love that idea that you don't know if you're really all working together or if the ghost is actually against you. That just sounds like that. I feel like that would just create just this level of distrust around the table that would just be so cool. It kind of is, like I said, in a weird way, it's giving me kind of like Mysterium vibes, like a grown-up adult version of Mysterium, kind of. So that is The Presence. Now, I know everybody is like hating on games that come out with bird themes lately because they think it's an overused theme or overdone theme. I say absolutely not. I love bird themes, and I think this next game looks really, really interesting, and it looks really unique. So the game is called Nestlings, from Tangerine Games. I am so interested in this one. I know they were demoing it a little bit at PAX, or they had it out at PAX, and so I had Kim stop by to look at it, and she said it just looked really, really interesting. So it says, in Nestlings, players assume the role of birds competing to gain priority across 4 biomes, so savanna, alpine, freshwater, and desert. It says each round players roll their dice, then place their dice in biomes one at a time, alternating in clockwise order. Once players have placed all their dice or have chosen to pass for that round, each biome is then resolved. So it looks really, really, really interesting. And truthfully, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, okay. But then I looked at the artwork and the boards and the mechanisms that it looks like they're all kind of putting together, and it looks really, really intriguing. I wish Kim was here because she could explain a little bit better because she actually saw it in person. But I remember when Kim was done with kind of demoing it a little bit, she texted me, she said, okay, Nestlings looks really, really good. So I am going to definitely be keeping my eye on this. I know some people aren't a huge fan of dice. I actually really enjoy dice, especially when there's dice like mitigation or ways to kind of like alter or change your dice. So yeah, I don't know. It's one that the artwork obviously is drawing me in. I love kind of like the bird theme that's going on, and it definitely looks different from other bird games that I've seen. So I'm going to be adding this one to my list to keep an eye on. Now, when I heard about this next one, I was honestly like confused because I loved the base game so much. I was like, why does there need to be like roll and write versions of this game? Like, Cascadia is already great. Why do we need like a roll and write version of Cascadia? That doesn't even make any sense. But this next one is Cascadia Rolling Hills and Cascadia Rolling Rivers, which are going to be 2 different games, and they're actually going to be roll and write versions of Cascadia. So the reason why they're on this list is because I am so intrigued to see what they do in regards to a roll and write version of Cascadia. I love Cascadia. It's one of my favorite kind of like family weight games. We play it all the time whenever, like, it's a great game to even pull out for new gamers or people who've never really gamed before. And so I'm really interested to see how they take that game and turn it into a roll and write game. And the ones that they have currently released are Cascadia Rolling Hills and Cascadia Rolling Rivers. And then down here in the description it says Cascadia Rolling is a series of puzzly flip and roll and write games featuring the habitats and wildlife of the Pacific Northwest. You roll your dice, collect wildlife, and complete habitat cards to fill in different environments in Cascadia. Use special actions to manipulate your dice, dynamic completion cards to unlock powerful combos. So it sounds like this is going to be a series that they're going to do. I'm assuming they'll do more. They'll probably do, let's see, so they have hills, rivers, they'll probably do mountains, rolling forests or something maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I'm just really interested to see like if this feels like Cascadia at all. I mean, I'm sure it will. But I've never really looked at any of my games and been like, oh, you know what, this needs a roll and write version. So it's always fascinating when publishers take a game and do a roll and write version of it. So that's definitely something to look out for, are these kind of roll and write versions that they will be putting out that is kind of based on Cascadia. This next one was another one that was crowdfunded last year. And before you ask, no, I didn't back it. Yes, I regret it. And the reason why I regret it was because I think I kind of wrote it off when it was being crowdfunded. I was like, oh, okay, like, yeah, it's like, I didn't really look too much into it. But now that I am looking into it, and I've heard a lot of people mention this game, again, I think it was Amy and Maggie, and I think I had the Dice Tower too, like multiple people had this on their most anticipated list, and I was like, oh my gosh, why did I write that one off so quickly? But the game is called Spectral, and so it says, legend tells of the abandoned Spectral Manor coming to life at the stroke of midnight on the crimson moon, an event that rarely takes more than once per century. On that night, and that night alone, in certain rooms, vast treasures appear, granting unspeakable wealth to those brave enough to find and claim them. But those who enter this mansion do so at their own peril, as some rooms awaken ghosts and curses that claim any who are foolish enough to enter. So it's kind of like this house that certain stuff will appear in certain rooms at certain times. On BGG, in the mechanisms, it says area majority and influence, auction bidding, betting and bluffing, deduction, it says worker placement. So all these, like, I love so many of those mechanisms. And so it's definitely one that I want to kind of look more into and kind of keep my eye on. I didn't think too much about it at the time, but I'm definitely seeing like a spooky theme throughout this game list. This next one is Weirdwood Manor. Again, another kind of like spooky one. This one is really interesting though. So basically players are working together and you're playing a character who's inside this Weirdwood Manor, this like old manor. And it's interesting because the board, it's like this big circle, and it actually moves. So certain areas of the board actually rotate and move throughout the game. So sometimes, you'll be trying to get into a room, and then all of a sudden the board will shift, and that room is blocked, or you won't be able to get into that room because the board is shifted. And certain characters will spawn, evil characters will spawn, trying to hurt you or get you. Yeah, it looks so cool. I love the idea of that board and how it rotates. This was, again, another one on Kickstarter. I was a little bit more hesitant about this one because I really wanted to see how the board, if it actually worked, because I had seen and kind of heard a couple people have some complaints about the board. And so even though it was on Kickstarter, and yes, I was tempted to get it, the reason why I held off was because I wanted to see how it actually came out after production. I'm kind of waiting to see people's thoughts and opinions on the game board and how easy it was to read, how easy it was to, maneuver and shift and stuff. So that was kind of what held me back during the campaign, honestly. But it's definitely one that I still have my eye on, and I really want to see how it ends up hitting, and if it is a really good one. So Weirdwood Manor is one that hopefully should be arriving relatively soon. I might be wrong. But yeah, definitely one I'm going to keep my eye on. Now, what better way to round out this unexpectedly spooky list than with this final game here. So this final game that I want to talk about is The Dark Quarter. So The Dark Quarter, it's being published by Lucky Duck Games, and I think it's also with Van Ryder Games as well. But The Dark Quarter, it's basically what it sounds so interesting. So it's New Orleans set in like 1980s. And so you are taking on the role of investigators trying to solve mysteries while dealing with dark and supernatural powers that are occurring at the time. If you have ever played Destinies, I think it's going to be really similar to Destinies. It's going to be an app-supported game. So you have, the board, you'll have your characters, but the app will kind of run the game and kind of act almost as like the DM, I believe. So kind of like how in Destinies is. But it's fun because the app, as you play through the game, it will remember the choices that you've made and the stuff that's happened, which will then affect the future outcomes of the game. I think this setting as well, like New Orleans in 1980 with like witches and wizards and warlocks and vampires, that just sounds amazing. Like, why have we not had more? I mean, maybe there have, and I've just been unaware of them. But why have we not had more games set in that time period? That just sounds like so much fun. I love solving mysteries too. Like, I'm always listening to like crime podcasts. I know that's like so weird, but I'm always listening to like to those podcasts and trying to like figure out what's going on, trying to like solve it. And so to have that kind of in a board game just sounds so cool. I do remember on the crowdfunding campaign, it specifically mentioned not to play this with children. Obviously, I think there are going to be kind of harsher themes in this game. I do think there'll also be language. So just kind of keep that in mind. But if this is something that does seem intriguing to you, I would definitely look into it more. Like I said, I am kind of just waiting for this to hit retail or kind of have availability, and hopefully the reviews on it are great. And if they are, then I will probably take the plunge and get this game. And I know at the beginning I said I wouldn't, but now that I'm here, I'm just going to talk about it anyways. So I guess we're going to have a weird number 14 games that I'm actually talking about. But Critter Kitchen, I am so excited for Critter Kitchen. It's coming to you from the same people that brought you Flamecraft, which we all know how popular Flamecraft was. But they were able to get the same artist, so it's Sandara Tang, I believe that's her name, who's doing the artwork for this game. But basically, I've heard it described as Flamecraft, or similar to Flamecraft, but even more crunchy, which I really enjoy Flamecraft, but I do, it's definitely kind of light for me, and I definitely want sometimes kind of more meat from Flamecraft, and so that's why I'm really excited for Critter Kitchen. Basically, you are playing as a chef, and you are trying to compete with other people around the table, trying to get food orders and trying to put together great dishes to impress the critics that are here in this world. Something that I love in this game, and I think more and more games, I mean, I know there are games that have done this before in the past, but I feel like this is kind of starting to become a thing, is simultaneous gameplay. So this game actually plays, I believe it plays, is it up to 8? Maybe I'm totally crazy. It's 7. It plays up to a lot of people, and the reason why it works, and from what I've heard, is because of that simultaneous gameplay. So you're not sitting and waiting for everybody to do their turn. There is a big portion of the game where it's just all simultaneous. You all just like put down your workers, trying to collect your supplies in order to brew or create the best food for the critics, or kind of the food that the critics want at the time. So this is one, I believe it should be arriving maybe the end of this year. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to having this, because it would be great to have Flamecraft for kind of, like lighter, kind of like maybe non-gamers or family events, and then be able to have Critter Kitchen for when I want more of like a crunchy experience. And I love how the artwork kind of is the same, so it feels kind of like it's in the similar world. It's in the same area that kind of Flamecraft is coming from, so it's fun to kind of have two different games, 2 different weight classes, kind of 2 different puzzles. All right, I'm sure there's many that I am missing from that list. I'm sure that list could probably be like 50 games long. But those are 13, kind of 14 games that I am looking forward to seeing this year and having come out. Like I said at the beginning, if there's any games that you personally are looking forward to, games that you've heard about or that you've backed that are supposed to be delivering this year, please let me know in the comments below so I can also look at them. 2023 did have some great games come out, but I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling that 2024 is just going to have some great games, and I am so looking forward to seeing them. Thanks so much for watching this video today. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't yet subscribed, it would mean so much if you could do that. It really kind of helps support me and everything that we're doing over here at the channel. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope you have a great rest of yours, and we'll see you next time. Oh, dude, you keep pulling my hair. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're getting so heavy. You're getting so heavy and so big. Oh, that's a little bit of puke. That's great. Yeah, that's puke.